Hi guys. Shit. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. My name is Sam. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so glad you're here. I really hope that you decide to stick around, hit the subscribe button, ding the little bell so you can come back and hang out with us. Today we're doing something really fun. We are going to be looking at and talking about, as I stroke Big Al over here, my OG plants of my collection. So the plants that literally started it all, that started my fascination and obsession, started my love for keeping and collecting houseplants. These are the plants that taught me basically through trial and error. Granted, many of them are no longer with us today. A lot of them aren't here anymore, but I do still have quite a few that have been with me through this entire journey. The ones that I brought in before I had a plant channel, before I even knew what PlantTube was, before I ever heard of uncommon or rare plants, before I ever ordered a plant online. The plants that I've picked up at my big box stores, they're the ones that I learned a lot of lessons with, but they're also the ones that gave me the confidence and the courage to deep dive into this world of houseplants. So I'm very thankful for these guys. I have a few that are hanging, like this guy right here, that we're gonna get up and go look at because it's too big for me to bring in here and hold up in front of the camera. But as for the rest of them, I have them all sitting here around me. It's kind of bittersweet, to be honest with you, because I haven't had them all here together since they were living together side by side. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and I decided let's go ahead and do it. We're gonna start out with my very first house plant, the first plant that I ever bought. Now, when I say ever bought, I have bought plants before. I have tried keeping little plants and succulents since I was a kid. I always would have like a little succulent or two upstairs in my room that I would set in my window, and I would be so excited. I'd be like, this is it, I'm gonna keep this one alive, I'm gonna keep it happy, and then I would forget to water it. I was very irresponsible, so they would die. And then I've bought a couple succulents, a couple plants here and there over the years. In my younger years, you know, before I had kids and stuff, and I always ended up killing those as well. But my very first plant was actually a lily that my husband got me when we were dating or talking. I was out of town, he bought it and brought it to me. Now, I had that plant for I think a year before I took it to my mom's. We were moving and I took it to my mom's and I planted it in her flower bed outside, and it came back for a couple years after that. Like it would come back, I think in the spring, and bloom again. So but it hasn't came up in a few years now, so that plant's gone. Anyway, let's get right into it. So yeah, these are not going to be in the order of I got them or anything, except for the first one. So this is it right here. This was my first house plant, I guess, that I actually was able to keep alive, and this is the one that encouraged me to buy more. So this is Big Al, and he's obviously an aloe vera plant. So he looks kind of rough because he got a little bit broken up and snapped in the move in the box because he was just really way too big to go in a box. I don't know, he looks like an octopus or sea creature to me. Under his little arms he had other plants setting in the box, and he's just snapped all the way around. I promise you, he looked so much better than this before the move, but this is what he looks like now. So whenever I got this guy, he was approximately this size. Now this is his baby, who also is not very happy because he's thirsty, but he looked like this, only standing up. He may even been a little bit smaller than this. He was in one of the little $3 pots from Lowe's, like the itty bitty little aloes. He's doing real good. He has several other babies in his pot there. And I kept him alive for the longest time, and I was like, wow, you know? And I didn't even really do much for him. He didn't grow really that much in the first year that I had him because I wasn't giving him like super bright light or taking the best care of him. But after I got this guy, I ended up getting a cactus, and it was one of those grafted moon cactus. I had that plant for about a year, maybe 2 years. It ended up dying. It started rotting from the base and turned to complete mush. It was actually really gross. So I threw him away. He's no longer with me, but that was the second plant that I ever got. Yeah, this is Big Al. I think that the next plant that I got was my golden pothos, just kind of sitting cascading in my laundry room at the moment. Now I really don't remember who I got next, but we'll just go ahead and start showing everybody. So this is my peace lily. I don't know what variety it is, but I love her. I do like peace lilies. I don't have like a huge thing for them or anything, but I do have a variegated peace lily and I have this one. They're a little bit dramatic, kind of diva-ish when they don't get their water, when their watering needs aren't met, but otherwise they're beautiful and I love them, and they tend to bloom for me pretty regularly, so that makes me happy. That's another thing, like most of my plants were very small whenever I bought them. Like I bought like little baby plants in the little $3 section of Lowe's. This peace lily was one of the teeny tiny ones. It had like the really skinny leaves. Just a few of them. This is her now. She's doing pretty good. She has lost a lot of foliage over the years. She's given me, as well as lost, a lot of foliage over the years because of underwatering. I underwater sometimes and then I have to remove all of her bottom leaves, but otherwise she's doing really well. I think whenever I first got this plant, no, it was in a ceramic planter, and then I tried moving it to a terracotta. That was a horrible idea. She hated that. So finally, I think it was last year before last maybe, I put her in this bigger ceramic planter and she's done really well since then. She's cute. Around the same time, I also got my Zizy Plant, and has this guy grown. He's grown a lot. Last summer especially, he just kept shooting off branch after branch after branch. I was like, holy cow, because he was living outside over the summer and he loved that. So I'm probably going to try to throw him back outside whenever the weather is warm enough again. I want to make sure that we're not going to get any more frosts or cool nights before I put any of my plants out. I'm very proud of his growth. Now, for this last year, he really hasn't done that much just because he hasn't really been getting optimal living conditions, like optimal lighting. He's been living in my kitchen at the apartment, which doesn't get very good light at all. Like it's very, very dappled in direct light. So he didn't really do a whole lot over this last year, but he's living in my new little plant room underneath my Mars Hydro, and I just noticed when I pulled him out that he is already shooting off a little pup right here. So this is my beautiful Zizy Plant. I just think he's such a statement piece. It's a focal point in the room, definitely. Like if you're looking for a plant to just draw some attention to a certain area of the room, get you a Zizy Plant because they're beautiful and they can survive in lower light settings, but they're gonna thrive and grow a lot faster if you give them brighter light because they are pretty succulent plants. These tend to be labeled as low light plants, but they really do prefer brighter light, even direct light if you can give it to them. I love this guy. He's been with me for a long time. Yeah, he means a lot to me. I need to grab my Syngonium. All right, this plant, is a mess. He used to be so beautiful. Last year he was beautiful. He was like super full and bushy. He looked great. His leaves were very colorful and vibrant. But over this last year, he as well was living in my kitchen. He just got so scraggly and bare and just not cute at all. So I really need to do some work on this guy to help him out. Again, this was one of the little $3 pots from Lowe's. If I can find a picture of last year, I'll show you. That's how I prefer my Syngoniums to look. Just, he was tall, but very compact and bushy, and just, he had really big, shiny, pretty leaves, and they were very close together. And now, you can see that I have him staked up to this bamboo trellis because he's trelling, like trying to trail. He basically threw all of his stems down, looking for bugs because I haven't checked him in a while, and he looks pretty rough, but I don't see anything. He might have spider mites, I don't know. You can see like his leaves have lost their color and vibrance. This is the white butterfly, and it just doesn't really have much going on. They're pretty well just all faded this pale green color, and he doesn't have any large leaves anymore, not like he used to. He used to have some really large, plump, beautiful leaves. Hopefully I can trim him up and get him looking a little bit better for this summer, but I do love this guy and he does mean a lot to me, so I would be very upset if anything happened to this plant. It's more sentimental than anything. It was my very first ever Syngonium plant. Hopefully we can get him cleaned up and looking a lot better. Another OG. So these are my Peperomia Obtusifolias. And again, these guys were not getting the brightest light and they really do prefer it. Now this guy grew really well. You can see how tall he is. This was one of the small little compact pots. I think the Obtusifolia is so pretty whenever they're small and compact and the leaves are close together. But whenever they start stretching and reaching for light, they get really leggy and not the cutest in my opinion. I don't know, it just hasn't been growing the best. It does have like some new leaves coming in now that is getting a little bit better light, but it's just a lot of these plants, I'm sad to say, have been a little bit, not really neglected, just not paid the most attention to, I haven't kept up with their like pruning and watering and things as much as I should have, but I still love this plant. Like, I'm contemplating getting rid of it a couple times because I get so frustrated with the way that it looks, and it'll start dropping leaves again, and I just get frustrated. And I've got it staked up right now to these sticks with these butterfly clips. But, you know, it's like these plants that I've had all this time, I have a really difficult time parting with. If they don't die of natural causes on their own, I can't get rid of them. So I just can't bring myself to do it. It's sentimental to me, and it just hold a special place in my heart. This one is the marbled, but it's basically reverted to green. You can see on this leaf here, it used to have the most beautiful variegation. The leaves were all so vibrant and marbly. It was just beautiful. But I guess it's due to, I don't really know what it's due to, lack of light, I guess. I mean, I thought he was getting some pretty good light, so I'm really not sure, but for whatever reason, he's dropped most of his variegated leaves and reverted to green, and I don't know what this is about. He just decided to lay down and dip down and back up. Oh, I did notice this though, like look, he put off this little baby off of the base of the stem here, and it does have that beautiful marbled variegation, so that made me excited. The marbling is so pretty, and you never know what you're gonna get. Each leaf looks so different. Really, really pretty. And then this is a different type of Peperomia. I can't remember, this might just be like the regular variegated one, but this was from my friend Sarah, and I just went ahead and potted him up in this pot with my marble. This guy is so dramatic. This is my first ever Dieffenbachia. It's just like the standard one that you find at every big box store, but mine looks insane. And it's just because he's really dramatic. When he dries out for very long, he immediately starts yellowing like a crap ton of leaves and drops them, or have to tear them off. So you can see like the stems are super bare, they're curly. I don't know what he's doing with his growth pattern here, but yeah, this is, I guess, the reality of what your plants will look like after keeping them for years and not doing any pruning or anything like that. Like, yes, I've pruned leaves off of him, but I haven't actually like cut him back, which I probably need to do. Doing fine. He hasn't stopped growing. You can see he's got new growth coming in on each one of his vines, but he's just crazy looking. I mean, he's just long and wild. Now, a couple months ago, he looked a lot better because his stems were a lot more full, but he also had spider mites. That, along with drying out too long, caused him to lose a bunch of foliage, so now he looks a lot more bare. When he was fuller, he looked really beautiful, even trelling like this, because he just had so many pretty leaves. My first ever Dieffenbachia, I did not know what I was getting myself into whenever I brought this guy home, because I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, I would get a plant and I would get on Google and try to like Google that plant's care, and Google is never accurate with plant care. Like, I'm sorry, they just rarely ever are they accurate. I tried to put this guy in a terracotta as well. I remember when I first got him, and it was like, bad idea. So he's in this, oh, and he has roots coming out the bottom. He's in this plastic planter. I need to go ahead and up him this spring. And then I have this weird bucket that I got like one Easter or something with a plant in it, I think. I'm using as a cash po. I feel like so many of these plants, it's like none of them look like beautiful really, except for my peace lily and my Zizy plant. The rest of them kind of look really rough, but this is my first ever Pilea. Oh my goodness. And I don't know, I have two and the other one looks like absolute garbage, but we go back and forth. Like, sometimes I will have this plant looking so good, so healthy. Like, I have to remember to rotate her. That's like the biggest thing with these Pileas. I feel like if you don't rotate them, they do this. Like, all of their leaves will face the light, and then the backside looks super bare and ugly. All you see is the stem. Like, look at my booty. She has tons of babies in her pot. Now, she didn't put off any babies at all for like the first 2 years I had her. Like, none at all. And that's when she was the happiest though. She was happy and healthy and beautiful before she gave me any pups. And then she started pushing babies. I repotted her. She started pushing babies and she went back to shit again. It's also an underwatering issue because I don't water her enough at all, and I'm aware of that. If I had her in direct light where she was getting light from all angles, I'm sure she would look a lot better. But because I really haven't, I need to be rotating her. If I would rotate her like weekly and water her at least once a week, she would be a lot happier. But it's a plant that kind of gets pushed in the back and I forget about. But yeah, you can see on top, these leaves are all like the new growth, but they're rolled under because they're thirsty and probably a little bit nutrient deficient as well. I need to go ahead and fertilize this plant because I'm not sure that I have in a while. Her leaves were all big and pretty, these big round saucers like this, and she's lost most of those. I don't know if you guys have a pilea and it does this, but whenever my pileas get these big heavy leaves and then they get thirsty, it's like the leaves are too heavy for the stems and they break themselves off. I don't know why that happens. Crazy, crazy, crazy. This is an aloe, another type of aloe plant. I actually can't remember when I got this plant. Can't remember. He was getting super great lighting at the apartment, like direct sun, and he loved it. So you can see he was growing completely towards the window, super tall. He's gotten very tall. He's put off so many leaves. You can see his new growth here on top looks really nice and healthy. If you know the name of this particular aloe, please let me know because I actually don't know. Like, I have no idea what he's called. But yeah, he's cool. I like him. He's pretty funky. I like that he gets tall but still doesn't take up too much space. All right, so that's all the plants that I have here. So now let's go ahead and go around and look at the plants that are too big for me to hold in front of you guys. I'm sorry if you can hear background noise from the kids' TV. This is another OG. So this is my string of bananas, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, believe it or not, I've trimmed this plant a couple times. It just continues to get back down to the floor. Every time it gets to the floor, I trim it, and you can see it's almost there again. The thing with this guy is I really like the look of him hanging here, but he's not getting enough light. So I really need to get another grow light in here or something up above this plant because the top is incredibly bare, not cute. Oh, I just noticed this new growth here though. Really? Okay. Oh, there's more back there. There's actually new growth coming in. What? On the top? I didn't think he was getting enough light here, but that's cool. If you look, like a lot of the bananas are dried out. They're not fat and plump and juicy like they're supposed to be. So I need to water more. I probably need to up his pot, honestly. I really don't know, but I need to water him more and I need to give him some brighter light. But otherwise, I think it's pretty. I think it's a really pretty plant to have hanging in a place like this, like in a macrame, up against a wall. I just think it looks really nice. Even all scraggly and stuff, I think he still looks kind of nice. Move on into my bathroom. Who is up here? Somebody's missing. Oh, my peace lily lives up here. I was like, okay, that looks weird. This is my beautiful Cebu blue, or Cebu blue. I love this guy so much. What is that though? What is that? Now some new leaves everywhere. They look pretty small though. So I'm concerned that this isn't enough light for the plants in here. Like, I know it's enough for calatheas and like this guy probably. This guy seems to be happy. Look at his new little leaves. They're so cute. He's doing well. He's had spider mites. He's been trimmed up several times as well. I've taken so many cuttings off this guy. Oh, this leaf looks pretty good. Look at that guy. That's cute. I've chopped him just because he was getting long and leggy and wasn't putting off very many leaves. Like, I don't like these long pieces that don't have a lot of leaves on them. And also I've propagated and sold like an entirely new plant out of this guy, and it was super long. And I sold that. It was like a 6-inch plant. And I've also done trades and stuff. I've sent cuttings to friends. But yeah, this is my Cebu blue, and I found him at a Walmart. He's just done really well. Sometimes he has his dramatic episodes where he'll yellow a bunch of his leaves. I don't know. I never really figure out what the problem is, but I just kind of nurture him and give him a little extra attention, honestly, and he usually recovers just fine, which is kind of crazy. All right, y'all, now we're in my very dirty laundry room. I've got just like stuff I'm storing up there. We got bubbles from Easter. This is not a great place to film, but this is my first ever Pothos. Now, this plant was much longer than this just a couple months ago. It's probably been 3 or 4 months ago now. I cut it, but it was down in the floor coiled. I mean, completely coiled in the floor. It was just too long, so I had to cut some pieces off, and it started yellowing back at the apartment. I didn't know if maybe it had bugs or something. I still never figured it out, but I'm still getting these yellow leaves, and you can see it was not getting very much light at the apartment either, so it's lost most of its golden variegation. Most of the leaves are pretty well all green now, but it's okay. I still love her. We have a new growth. Hi! But I really need to do something with this plant. It's not getting enough light from this little door in here, so I need to figure out where I'm going to be putting her. I want to give her more light because I would like to get that golden pattern back on her leaves. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I wish that I might look and see if I have any footage of her whenever she was at her longest point, because if you have a golden pothos, you know, they just don't stop growing. I need to cut this vine off too because it's all leggy, but this was my first ever golden pothos. And then hanging here, please look over the background mess, but hanging here I have this golden pothos, which I got shortly after I got the first one over there. And yeah, this one has also, it would get cut probably every 3 months because it was hanging in my kitchen above my kitchen sink, and every time it would trail down and touch the sink or the counter, I would go ahead and cut it back. And then that was kind of like what I did over the last couple of years with this plant, or else it would be a lot longer. But because of that, this one has really stayed full and lush up at the top of the pot, because every time I would cut it, obviously it would encourage new growth to come in at the top. Now she is really thirsty, so I need to go ahead and give her a water if you can't tell. But yeah, this one's a lot more full and lush and less leggy than my other one, but they're almost around the same age. This one's reverted too, unfortunately though, because again, it was in my kitchen with not very much light. But that's okay, she's still beautiful. Guys, that is it for this video. I just wanted to show y'all the OGs because I just think it's special to introduce you to all of the plants that started this whole entire thing, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I have. I wouldn't have even became a part of this community at all. So yeah, I'm really thankful for these guys, even though some of them do get a little bit forgotten about. Occasionally, I do still love them very much, and they do mean a lot to me, and I'm gonna make sure I do better at taking care of them because they're special. They've been here so long, and they've put up with so much of my crap, my learning curves, and they've taught me a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you very soon in my next video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a comment below because it really helps with the algorithm. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell if you would like to be notified whenever I do post. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye guys.